Hey there, Roothaven Grounds family. Today, we're diving deep into one of my absolute favorite soil building techniques that's been transforming gardens for generations. If you've been wondering whether layering manure under cardboard mulch is worth the effort, or what's actually happening beneath that brown barrier, you're in for a treat. This method has completely changed how I approach garden bed preparation, and I'm excited to share exactly what's going on in that magical space between your soil and the sky. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening when you sandwich fresh or aged manure between your existing soil and a cardboard blanket. The moment you lay down that first layer of manure and cover it with cardboard, you've essentially created a perfectly orchestrated microbial party. The cardboard acts like a breathable blanket that traps moisture while still allowing oxygen to filter through. This creates an ideal environment where beneficial bacteria, fungi, earthworms, and countless other soil organisms can feast on that nutrient-rich manure without interference from weeds or extreme temperature fluctuations. The decomposition process kicks into high gear almost immediately. Manure is loaded with nitrogen, which soil microbes absolutely crave for their metabolic processes. As these tiny workers break down the organic matter, they're simultaneously processing the cardboard from below. The cardboard, being mostly carbon, provides the perfect balance to the nitrogen-rich manure. This carbon-to-nitrogen ratio is crucial because it prevents the manure from breaking down too quickly and losing valuable nutrients to volatilization or leaching. What's particularly fascinating is the temperature dynamic at play. Fresh manure generates heat as it decomposes, and the cardboard insulation helps maintain that warmth while preventing it from getting too hot. This gentle, sustained warmth creates a greenhouse effect that speeds up decomposition while keeping conditions comfortable for your soil's workforce. I've measured temperature differences of 10 to 15 degrees between beds using this method and those without, even during cooler months. Here's where this technique really shines in ways that surprised even me. When you layer manure directly under cardboard, you're not just blocking existing weeds from sunlight, you're creating a hostile environment for weed seed germination in multiple ways. The cardboard barrier physically prevents light penetration, yes, but the biological activity happening in that manure layer actually produces compounds during decomposition that inhibit seed germination. It's like having a natural pre-emergent herbicide working for you 24/7. I've tested this extensively in my own garden beds, and the weed suppression lasts significantly longer than cardboard alone. While plain cardboard might give you 3 to 6 months of weed control, adding that manure layer extends it to 8 months or even a full year in some cases. The reason is simple. By the time the cardboard breaks down enough for light to penetrate, that manure has already decomposed into rich compost that's been thoroughly colonized by beneficial organisms. These organisms create a living barrier that crowds out weed seeds trying to establish themselves. The moisture retention beneath the cardboard also means that any weed seeds that do manage to sprout are doing so in an environment where they're competing with an established, thriving soil ecosystem. In my experience, the few weeds that eventually appear are weak, shallow-rooted, and pull out with barely any effort. One of the biggest game changers with this method is how nutrients become available to your plants. When you apply manure directly to the soil surface without a cardboard cover, you lose a significant portion of nitrogen to the atmosphere through a process called volatilization. Rain can also wash away water-soluble nutrients before your plants can use them. The cardboard layer changes everything. Under that protective barrier, nutrients release slowly and consistently as microorganisms break down the manure. It's like having a time-release fertilizer that feeds your garden for months. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals gradually work their way into the soil profile, becoming available exactly when your plant's root systems are developed enough to use them. I've noticed that plants growing in beds prepared this way show remarkably even growth throughout the season. There's no initial surge followed by nutrient depletion that you sometimes see with surface-applied fertilizers. Instead, you get steady, healthy development from seedling to harvest. The earthworms that multiply like crazy under these conditions act as tiny nutrient elevators, pulling that decomposed manure deeper into the soil and mixing it thoroughly with your existing soil structure. What's happening to your actual soil texture might be the most impressive part of this whole process. The combination of manure decomposition and cardboard breakdown creates a perfect environment for soil aggregation. As organic matter breaks down, it produces sticky substances that glue soil particles together into small clumps called aggregates. These aggregates are what gives soil its crumbly, friable texture that gardeners dream about. The earthworm population explosion that occurs under cardboard and manure takes this even further. Earthworms don't just eat organic matter. They restructure your soil as they tunnel through it. Their castings are incredibly rich in nutrients and beneficial microbes, and their tunnels create pathways for air and water to penetrate deeply. I've dug into beds 6 months after laying down this combination and found soil that's been completely transformed, even in areas that started as hard clay. The transition zone where the manure meets the original soil becomes almost indistinguishable as everything melds together into beautiful, living earth. Understanding when to implement this technique can make a significant difference in your results. I've found that fall application is absolutely ideal. Laying down manure and cardboard in autumn gives you all winter for decomposition to occur. By spring, you've got perfectly prepared beds ready for planting without any concerns about fresh manure burning plant roots. Spring application works beautifully too, but you'll want to plan ahead. If you're using fresh manure, give it at least 6 to 8 weeks before planting anything directly into that area. The decomposition process temporarily ties up nitrogen as microbes work, which can cause what's called nitrogen drawdown. Aged or composted manure reduces this waiting period to just 2 to 4 weeks. Summer applications are possible but come with challenges. The heat can speed up decomposition almost too quickly, and keeping everything adequately moist requires more attention. However, if you're preparing beds for fall planting, summer is the perfect time to get started. The beauty of this method is its flexibility. You don't need perfect conditions or expensive materials. Any cardboard works as long as you remove tape, staples, and glossy labels. Overlap your pieces by at least 6 inches to prevent light gaps. For the manure layer, aim for 2 to 4 inches of material. Chicken manure works faster but requires more caution with fresh application. Horse, cow, and rabbit manure are more forgiving and readily available. Water everything thoroughly after installation. That initial moisture is crucial for jump-starting the decomposition process and activating your soil biology. I usually soak my cardboard layers until water is pooling on the surface, then add a thin layer of straw or wood chips on top to hold everything in place and add another carbon layer for long-term soil building. This layering technique represents what I love most about gardening, working with natural processes rather than against them. By understanding what happens in that hidden space between cardboard and soil, you're not just creating better growing conditions, you're building living, breathing earth that gets better with each passing season. If you found this deep dive helpful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button for more practical, in-depth gardening wisdom here at Roothaven Grounds. Share this with your fellow gardeners who are ready to transform their soil from the ground up. Together, we're growing more than plants. We're cultivating knowledge and building a community of soil stewards. Now get out there and start layering. Your future garden self will thank you.